Welcome to the podcast, everyone. Today we're diving into the future with Niall, executive editor at MIT Technology Review, to discuss their annual list of 10 breakthrough technologies. It was announced in SXW 2026. Neil, it's great to have you.
Thanks, Tara. It's great to be here. I always feel like we're among friends when we talk about these things, because anyone interested in this topic is inherently curious about how the world is changing. And that's exactly why I do what I do.
And South by Southwest is certainly the place for that kind of forward thinking discussion.
Absolutely. But predicting the future of technology is both incredibly easy and incredibly hard at the same time. Easy because you can say anything. Hard because technology collides with so many unpredictable factors like funding, policy, and even just whether people actually want the product. Remember Google Glass?
A classic example. So, how does MIT Technology Review approach these predictions?
Focus isn't just on what's popping up now, but what will truly matter in the long term. Try to look at scale, how many people it reaches, disruption, how much it overturns what came before, and depth, how completely it changes how we live or work. A technology that reaches everyone but changes nothing isn't a breakthrough, nor is a mind-blowing idea that never leaves the lab.
So, it's about real world impact.
Exactly. Don't believe the fact that technology exists in a vacuum. The goal isn't just to know what's coming, but to better prepare for the future we're making. Social media is a prime example. We saw the trajectory, but didn't properly prepare for the downstream effects on teenagers, body image, or our collective ability to agree on basic facts. We published this list to help us get ahead, to ask what these technologies will mean for the world in the long term.
And for those unfamiliar, tell us a bit about MIT Technology Review.
It is owned by MIT, but editorially independent. Main newsroom is in Cambridge, Massachusetts, but they also have offices in San Francisco, New York, and London. They produce newsletters, events, daily online content, and a print magazine. They also have lists like 35 Innovators Under 35 and a climate list, plus a new AI-focused list coming soon. They also do great journalism, from character-driven stories about hackers to scoops on new companies and identifying major trends like the vitalists who believe we should stop dying.
That's quite a range. Let's look at 10 breakthrough technologies current list together.
This year's list is the 25th edition, which started in 2001 with what the editors called educated predictions.
And they have had some successes over the years, I imagine.
Indeed, in 2003, they put quantum cryptography on the list, anticipating the need for defenses against future quantum computers. This year, the U.S. National Institute of Standards and Technology released quantum-proof algorithms, just in time. In 2010, they highlighted engineered stem cells, which can be reverted to create any other cell type. Today, they're showing promise for treatments for epilepsy and type 1 diabetes, and even for creating human egg cells. Apple Pay made the list in 2015, and now many of us don't leave home without our phones. And 6 years ago, they featured satellite mega constellations. Since then, the number of satellites in orbit has nearly tripled, largely due to Starlink, which is amazing for connectivity but a nightmare for astronomers.
So you get some right. What about the ones you got wrong?
Oh, they definitely get some wrong. There's even a graduate class at MIT that looks back at the archives to pick out the misses. In 2012, they featured light field photography, specifically a company called Lytro. It was a cool idea, but it didn't take off as smartphone cameras got really good. In 2016, they highlighted the DNA App Store with a company called Helix, which would sequence your genome for $80 and connect you with third-party services. Privacy and security challenges meant it didn't quite work out.
It's a tough business, predicting the future. Before we get to the main list, what were some technologies that almost made the cut this year?
They had a long list and a short list, and 3 things just got beaten out at the last second. First, male contraceptives. There's a daily pill in clinical trials and a gel that reduces sperm production much further along. Potentially transformative, but still a few years from FDA approval, so they decided to wait.
That's a big one. What else?
Next, world models. This is incredibly hot in AI right now, with big names like Yan LeCun and Fei Li working on it. The idea is systems that learn the underlying rules of the world from observation, making it easier for robots to interact and learn. But it's still early days. We haven't seen them widely deployed in the real world yet. Maybe next year.
And the third,
Proof of personhood. With deepfakes and AI voice clones, it's getting incredibly hard to know what's real online. Efforts are underway with digital tokens and biometrics, but no single approach has been settled on or widely adopted.
fascinating. All right, Neil, the moment we've been waiting for. Let's dive into the 10 breakthrough technologies for this year. What's first on the list?
First up, sodium-ion batteries. Most batteries today use lithium, which is expensive and has supply chain complications. Sodium, by contrast, is everywhere, like in table salt. Sodium-ion batteries could be far cheaper, safer, they don't explode like lithium-ion, and work in freezing temperatures. While their energy density isn't as high, making them less suitable for long-range EVs right now, companies like CATL and BYD in China are already putting them into smaller electric vehicles and scooters. Their biggest immediate use will likely be supporting the grid, storing renewable energy at power stations.
That sounds like a game changer for energy storage. What's next?
Generative coding. This is already a major part of many developers' workflows, completely changing the industry. A 2025 survey found 65% of developers using generative tools weekly, and that number is surely higher now. Claude Code, launched by Anthropic, has become an industry leader, with studies estimating it authored 4% of everything on GitHub. It can read existing code, plan tasks, and execute them. By the way, this podcast uses Gemini and OpenAI API.
So AI is writing code. What about power generation?
That brings us to next-gen nuclear. Conventional nuclear plants are expensive and difficult to build. This new generation uses different fuel sources, like highly enriched uranium, and alternative coolants like molten salt or metal, allowing them to run hotter and safer at lower pressures. We're seeing small modular reactors, or SMRs, which are a third the power and a tenth the size of conventional reactors, and even microreactors. These could be mobile, deployed for communities or factories. China and the US are already building them, with China's Linglong 1 expected to produce power this year. With global electricity demand growing, nuclear has to be part of the mix.
A smaller, safer nuclear option sounds promising. What's the next breakthrough?
AI companions. People are increasingly using AI chatbots as companions, from general-purpose bots like ChatGPT to dedicated personas on platforms like Character AI. An incredible 72% of US teens have used AI for companionship. People use them to vent, get advice, or even as marriage counselors. However, there are significant harms. People can develop emotional dependency, and there have been tragic cases of chatbots allegedly advising users to harm themselves, leading to lawsuits against companies like OpenAI and Character AI.
That's a sobering thought. On a more positive note, what's the next breakthrough?
Base-edited baby. We're entering a new era of highly personalized gene editing. Last May, a baby was treated for a rare genetic condition caused by a single misspelled DNA letter using base editing, a new form of CRISPR. Unlike traditional CRISPR, which deletes or shuts off genes, base editing can rewrite individual letters, restoring gene function. It's also potentially safer. While expensive, these personalized treatments could cure thousands of rare genetic diseases that pharma companies wouldn't otherwise address.
Truly a medical marvel. What's next?
This one's fun. Gene resurrection. We're talking about reintroducing genes from ancient or extinct species into living animals or plants. Colossal, a leader in this field, created woolly mice by editing genes to give them traits like wavy fur, similar to woolly mammoths. They also announced creating direwolves by extracting DNA from direwolf bones, using base editing to introduce elements into gray wolf cells, and then cloning them into 3 actual animals. Semantics aside, this technology could also help create genetic diversity in endangered animals, like black-footed ferrets, and make modern crops hardier against climate change by introducing ancient genes.
Dire wolves and climate-resilient crops. That's quite a spectrum. What's the next breakthrough?
Mechanistic interpretability. Essentially, no one truly knows how large language models, or LLMs, work deep down. This is a problem because without understanding the why, it's hard to grasp limitations, fix hallucinations, or implement guardrails. Mechanistic interpretability develops techniques to measure what's going on inside LLMs, tracking inputs to outputs to gain insight into how AI thinks. OpenAI and Anthropic are leaders here.
So it's like giving AI an X ray. What's the next item on the list?
Commercial space stations. The International Space Station is being decommissioned around 2030, but NASA isn't replacing it. Instead, private companies are launching their own versions, and NASA scientists will buy time on them. The first wave is taking shape, with Vast planning to launch Haven 1 next year. Others like Axiom Space and Sierra Space, partnered with Blue Origin, are also developing stations. Russia and India are also making their own stations, and China already has one.
Space tourism is becoming a reality. What's the ninth breakthrough?
Embryo scoring. This is potentially the most controversial one. For decades, IVF patients have screened embryos for genetic disorders. But now, a few startups are advertising tests that use polygenic risk scores to offer statistical probabilities for a future child's appearance, behavior, or intelligence. Parents can then pick the best embryo. They are incredibly expensive, and databases are often based on people of Western descent, making them less accurate for others. Proponents argue it's no different from other decisions parents make, but the technology is here, unregulated, and offered by over 100 fertility clinics in the US.
That certainly raises ethical questions. And finally, the 10th breakthrough.
Hyperscale AI data centers. This is an entirely new class of infrastructure. Hundreds of billions of dollars are being invested in building gigantic warehouses with specialized chips and new cooling systems, all for running and training AI models. OpenAI, Google, Amazon, Meta, and Microsoft are pouring money into this. These centers will require more than a gigawatt of electricity to run, a small city's worth. Experts predict that by 2028, AI electricity usage could generate emissions equivalent to driving over 300 billion miles. These centers are also noisy, ugly, and don't create many permanent jobs, leading to local opposition and potentially an 8% increase in utility bills for Americans by 2030.
That's a significant environmental and societal impact. Neil, this has been an incredibly insightful. Thank you for sharing these breakthroughs.
My pleasure, Tara.
Before we wrap up, you mentioned an 11th breakthrough.
Yes, this year, the options included reasoning models, artificial wombs, humanoid robots, and uncrewed fighter jets. Humanoid robots are currently winning, and there's a lot happening in that space, especially with AI generating synthetic data and LLMs giving them better spatial awareness. So they are coming.
Very cool. And you also mentioned a new AI-specific list?
That's right. We had so much AI content that they are launching a separate list, 10 things that matter in AI right now. It will be unveiled at the MTech AI event next month.
Neil, thank you so much for joining us and giving us this incredible overview of the technologies shaping our future.
It's been a pleasure.